Hello, guys, and welcome to another clip video with your girl Carla B. Welcome to Love Tribe. And here we go. Today, I want to talk about, the trap of the ego, the prison. I've talked about the ego before, but this time I'm going to give you a perspective of like what the ego does to you, but also like some solutions, like how to target that and kind of like tame your ego. First of all, thank you for tuning in. I hope that you like the video. Comment, DM me, find me on Instagram at lovetribe143, or don't forget, most importantly, please subscribe to my channel. It's such a big support to have you as part of the tribe. So, what I want to talk about today, in keeping with being authentic, and part of the reason why I think life coaching works sometimes much better than therapy, is that you're able to target people at the level of their individual self, right? And the individual being that of the ego. So, not only can I help you understand that, but I can speak also from experience because I have no problem in sharing my tidbits about my ego and the war with that. But the trap of your ego is really your mental prison, you know? Um, there have been several tales of people who are actually in prison that describe how their experience there uh, didn't really take away their freedom because they were able to have time to clear their mind, organize in their mind what matters and what doesn't. And then there's been situations or scenarios of people that are very free, whether it would be with time or finances, and they claim to be feeling very trapped in their life. And it all stems from the ego. We don't feel imprisoned by tasks and to-do lists and responsibilities. We feel imprisoned because of our ego. And why is that? Because your ego makes you take things personal. Your ego is unable to handle conflict. It cannot handle conflict. Your ego thinks that being too busy is good. And I'm looking at my notes here, guys, because I made some notes for myself so that I wouldn't forget to talk about specific points. Yeah, your ego believes that being too busy is good, and your ego can only accept expectation outcome. What does that mean? You have a specific expectation for something in life, you can only accept that as the outcome. Anything else is a problem. So let's go all the way back to taking things personal. I've talked about this in a different video where I've kind of helped to guide you as to how to start to not take things personal. It really is a journey. You can't just wake up one day and not take things personal. These are choices you make moment by moment that end up becoming your default. I didn't wake up one day and all of a sudden I don't take anything personal anymore. Took um it took a couple of years. So, but it took me choosing to start that journey. It took me, quite honestly, it took a near death experience to get me on that journey. And that resulted in what has now assisted other people. So let's talk about taking things personal. Why is that, you know, connected to the ego? Because your ego wants to be on top. Your ego wants to be number one. Your ego wants to be the best. Your ego does not feel okay with comparison, with insult, or whatever. But it's quite funny how your ego doesn't feel okay with that, but yet it will be your ego in your mind that'll be giving you those things, those thoughts, right? Comparing you to other people, um, giving you senses, giving you the perspective of being inferior, of being not good enough. When someone says something that goes against your core belief system, all of a sudden getting really upset with that person. Um, or even when people abandon you or like ghost you. Ghosting for me in the past, I've never done that. I've never had a need to do that. And I feel like if I ever did, it was probably accidental. It wasn't even intentional. But I could definitely say that ghosting is a representation of the individual that's doing that is still struggling with their own person. See, taking things personal is not just at the level of like, how do I feel insulted? Taking things personal also has to do with how much can I handle? And if that person doesn't feel like they can handle that, or they're not healed to the point of being able to handle that, they will ghost, because ghosting is a way of, it's avoidance, it's a way of avoiding, it's a way of escaping, it's a way of not having to deal with what you do take personal. And it's unfortunate because sometimes you sabotage so much of your life as a result of taking things personal. If somebody cuts you off on the road, or gets too close to your car, or there's situations or scenarios where you just feel like somebody's wronged you, your initial response to that will give you signs if you do or don't take things personal. If your initial response to that is violent or anger or just being mean or not being, nice, regardless of you being right or wrong, then you're taking things too personal. You're taking that way too serious. But if your initial reaction is one of, like, you don't care, then that's a sign that you pretty much have your ego tamed. So how do you get to the I don't care level? It's a choice, like I was saying. You choose it. And you can't choose it um, you know, overall, like in general. It's a momentary choice. You make that choice one moment, the next moment that happens that's like that, you make that choice again. And yes, you do have to force yourself to make that choice. You do have to be the boss in your head. It's called self-discipline. See, your ego will make you believe that taking things personal and wanting to do justice is what's right. But the problem is, it's also exhibiting lack of self discipline. So, not taking things personal, choosing to not really care about something that would make you angry is is a way of enacting self discipline. Um, so that's one way your ego tries to fool you into, thinking that taking things personal is not a problem, believing that you're going in for justice, right? The other trap of the ego is you're unable to handle conflict. Now, I hear a lot of life coaches online, and I have a couple of friends that do this also, and I don't necessarily ever hear them talk about the ego being a trap from these perspectives, and that's why I want to bring it up, because it is your ego that is causing you to be unable to handle conflict, because your ego wants to be, like I said, always right. If you're always right, then why would you have conflict? Everyone else should accept that you're always right. Your way should be the only way. What you desire is all that should matter. So why should there be a conflict? If it's not to your convenience, then why, you don't have to spend time with it or with the person or with whatever. So why should there be a conflict, right? I often say that the inability to handle conflict is your ego's way of basically just making you believe that, um how can I put it? It's your ego's way of making you believe that you're better off without something. You're better off without something. Your ego is not there as your friend. Yes, your ego can help you have a certain level of confidence when necessary, but your ego can also fool you. And that's what I'm trying to enlighten you with. Your ego tricks you into thinking that you being right is valuable and you being the last word is important. So, handling conflict is not something that you see as an opportunity to develop depth. You don't see conflict as an opportunity to become compassionate or to be more compassionate. Your ego doesn't want you to be compassionate, because if you're going to start being compassionate with others, it means you're going to be compassionate with yourself. And then your ego cannot have you mentally comparing yourself to other things that are, better, wiser, prettier, sexier, smarter, whatever, all the ers that are out there. So the inability to handle conflict is a clear sign that your ego is in charge of you and not you in charge of it. So it's a prison. Another piece of evidence or factor that shows to us that our ego is um, in control and is really keeping us in a prison is being too busy is good. The whole concept of that being too busy is good is a lie. People throw that out a lot. Oh, I couldn't get back to you. I was really busy. I was tied up. I'm too busy. I'm so busy. Everybody likes to feel nowadays like being busy is almost like a badge of honor, that so many people want you. Everybody wants you. So it's a great thing because you're smart. You're, I guess, reliable when it comes to matters of work. You're smart. You're reliable. You're desired. You're desired for your intellect. You're desired for your problem solving. You're desired for all of the things that have to do with materialistic convenience, right? But you're not desired for what matters. That's the thing. And are you really busy? Or is it your ego making you believe that you're busy? That's the other thing. Sometimes it's how you look at things. You look at your agenda with items on a to do list. Can you not move those around, regardless of you thinking yes or no based on deadlines? Deadlines, schmedlines. To be very, very honest, no one is ever too busy, especially nowadays, the way that telecommunications is, that technology is. No one is ever too busy. And if people throw that out there, they're just making an excuse. It is a lie. And it is a lie that your ego uses to, again, keep you above other people. Because if I'm saying I'm too busy, guess what? That means that you're not that busy. And that's why you're able to reach out to me and you're so available. So that's not attractive. It's really the other way around. A person that has their work life or just their life balanced out in terms of time frames and can enjoy other aspects of life other than always being busy, that's actually what is attractive. However, your ego will have you believing it's the opposite, right? Again, it's a prison, it's a trap. And then finally, your ego is a trap in terms of being a prison because it can only accept expectation as the outcome. If you are living a life where only what you expect as an outcome is what makes you happy, that is a sign that your ego is in charge of you and you're not in charge of it. And some people might say, well, Carla, why does it matter if the ego's in charge? It's still me. Not necessarily, because your ego is kind of like linked to your what's considered your lizard brain, or what's other neuroscientists and psychologists consider your monkey brain. It is the primitive aspect of you that wants to be top on the hierarchy, wants to be the alpha male, or wants to be, the leader of the pack in terms of what's, the female group. And in a relationship dynamic, it doesn't work well at all, because your ego will want you to always be the last word, to be right, to be correct. You can't handle conflict, so then how do you handle your relationships? Also, your ego will have you believing being busy is great. So then how do you have time and nurturing, of it, even as something that's available in your life? Also, you take things personal. So how can you ever work in teams or in groups? You can't work even as a family if you're taking things personal, because to take things personal means that I, the individual, do things better on my own by myself. I don't need anybody else. That's your ego. That is 100% your ego. And people don't see that. Like, even myself, I had a period of life where I literally was in this mental state of like, I do life better by myself. I don't need anyone else. Like, me, myself, and I is so much better than me, myself, in a relationship. It actually took me kind of working through that and admitting, no, I can't do everything. I don't want to do everything. And kind of like energetically mentalizing myself of that and like just living in that mind space to then finally start attracting the energy and the even the attention that I want. Because in life, you don't attract what you want. Like, you may want a wonderful, I don't know, it could be a wonderful relationship, it could be a wonderful material life. You want those things, but you can't attract that if that's not who you are, you know? So if you're a person who takes things personal, you're going to attract people who take things personal. If you're a person who cannot handle conflict, you're going to attract a lot of loneliness. You're going to attract a lot of situations also that have conflicts that you never solve. You're going to leave a lot of people's feelings hurt. You're going to break a lot of people's hearts for no reason, and people that don't deserve it. And so you're going to keep attracting more of more brokenness into your life. Being busy is a lie. That's another thing. If you are a person who's constantly always busying yourself, you're going to attract also that. You're going to attract energy flow that is always too busy to satisfy you as well. So you're going to at some point attract that, even though it may not be now, but it will be what you attract. And if you don't attract that directly, you sabotage what exists that is healthy. That's the other thing people don't understand. And then only accepting what you expect should be the outcome. Oh my God. Like, we have to, when it comes to expectations, I don't think having expectations is bad. I don't think there's anything wrong with having expectations, because you have to have, a goal, right? You have to have a desired outcome, which it's okay. But you have to detach yourself from expectations. You have to detach your personal value, your personal belief of what's right and wrong from your expectation. Have a desired outcome, yes. If the outcome is not what you desired initially, look at the outcome you do have. Is there something there that could be something now that you choose to accept for whatever reason? Because often in life, it's not about even being the right person. It's about wanting to work at it to be the person that makes it right, you know, that makes the commitment or the dedication or the outcome right. Sometimes you want to build a house with Lego pieces, for instance, if you're playing with Legos, but you don't necessarily have all of the pieces necessary to connect the different parts of the structure you're building. But you have, let's say, 1,000 pieces on the table. Are you just going to give up because your expectation of what pieces should be there aren't there? No, work with the pieces you have. You know, um, I like to think of life as like an outfit, right? People think of an outfit. They If life is an outfit, you have to accessorize the outfit you have. You can't accessorize the outfit you thought you should have. Like you can't accessorize the dress you thought you should be wearing. Life gave you this particular dress. Like life gave me these particular clothes. I accessorized it according to what it is. I didn't accessorize myself according to what, well, I thought I was going to be, wearing this or that, but that's not how life is, because again, life is going to attract to you who you are. So as you're getting certain things in your life, as they're showing up, what can you do to either accessorize what exists right now, or if that's not possible externally, internally, what can you kind of shift within yourself, change within yourself, start choosing different, start making different choices. So let's talk about how can you overcome the trap. How can you overcome the trap of the ego? This is a really quick post today, so I'm not going to take such a long time. And my hair looks, oh my God, my hair looks so weird because I wasn't even planning on recording today, you guys. Yeah, I really wasn't. I have bangs. I don't know if I should keep them. I don't know if I should let them grow. It's been a minute since I've had bangs, but I kind of like them. I do. But, authenticity. So just letting you in on me. My ego sometimes tries to pin me, bangs, no bangs. Compare and contrast between people who do and don't have them. Um, so we've clarified that the ego is a prison, right? It's horrible to live in that mentality, but so many of us do, regardless of age. But I do think as you get older and things have happened to you, you get so jaded that before you know it, your ego is in full control and you think it's not, because that's the other danger about the ego. It'll actually make you feel and believe that it's really not there, because it'll put you in tune with your feelings. So then your feelings are kind of like running this conscious control of your mind, but subconsciously it's your ego that's really doing it. And how do you know this? The moment something goes wrong in your life, or the moment something happens that relates to either taking things personal, conflict, uh busyness, or expectation, the minute something related to that happens, watch how you behave. What is your immediate route of action? If your route of action is one that is kind of like almost automatic, where you just want to either be mean, attack, you want to escape, or you want to get really sad and depressed because your expectation didn't happen, then that's a sign that your ego is in charge. Every negative feeling and mental health issue that is out there right now is tied to the ego. Anxiety, depression, um what else? I would say mostly anxiety and depression. I'm not even going to go into the others because they have other unique things happening, or they might, related to health issues. But anxiety and depression predominantly are all directly linked to your ego, your relationship to your ego. We need to tame it, because, again, your ego is linked to your lizard or monkey brain, as some neuroscientists call it. And those two animals are not only are they primitive, but they function only on being, top of their species. Like they compete, they have to win, they have to get what they have to get at all cost, and it's all about survival. So anytime you're dealing with those topics, guess what? You will think you're always fighting someone else. You will feel like you have to escape and run away. You will feel like what you expect to happen is what the outcome should be. If not, it's a problem. Because those are innate animal instinct feelings that literally, put the ego in charge. So, how do you overcome the trap? Choice. Choice is, now again, I'm looking at my notes. Choice, I don't know, can you see it? Can you see? I like to make these little charts for myself. Even in class when I teach my students, I make charts of like how I mentally see things, and that's how I give notes because and they love it. They say that it's easier for them to understand concepts than extensive PowerPoint presentations. So I just started doing that. So how to overcome the trap? Choice, and the choice has to happen it has to happen within a moment. It's not something that you can just do like mentally wake up, I'm going to choose to just not take things personal all day long. No, it's moment by moment. It takes you doing this until you get used to it and it becomes automatic. Um, the choice has to be daily. So you do it at a moment so that it can become daily, and then the choice becomes something that will stay for your lifetime. All right. But in order for that to happen, you have to start making the choice moment by moment. If you're with relatives, for instance, and the conversation is getting a little bit too hectic and they're disagreeing too much, and you're hitting a point basically of like contention with each other, and they're disagreeing with you, and you really want to fight back with your words, at that moment, mentally tell yourself to shut up. Tell yourself to stay quiet. Tell your ego to shut up. It's not even you that wants to say that. It's not even you that wants to attack that. You think it's you, but it's not you. It is your ego trying to be on top of the world. It is your ego trying to say, I know what's better than you do. Don't let it do that, because those moments with family, for instance, with that kind of contention, even though it might be toxic, it's destroying the opportunity of relationship. You know, maybe you have a loving family that has those moments, or maybe you don't. Maybe your family is toxic. Okay. Either one doesn't matter. You're choosing to not take things personal no matter what. you know Dissociate your persona from the issue and recognize that you're having a conversation with someone that in their mind they need to be on top of the world because their ego is in charge. So why do you want to argue with another person's ego if you know that egos just want to be on top of the world and they're not going to give up unless they're the last word? You're basically putting yourself in a spiral of never ending, like, back and forths. Why would you do that to yourself? You're torturing yourself. Just choose to not take it personal. And you would say, well, how is that possible? I feel insulted. Well, what within you makes you feel insulted? Do you actually believe that what the other individual is saying or talking or discussing is true when it comes to your persona? Do you actually believe that? Do you actually, let's talk about ghosting, for instance, when a person has like I don't know, left you, like, just disappeared from communication or simply just disappeared from your life, are you going to actually believe that it was because of like you being in the wrong? I mean, if you were in the wrong, and let's say that your ego is in charge, because you're still battling with it, obviously. If you were in the wrong, you would actually be the one ghosting. You know how I know this? Because I've been there. No, but I have actually. When I've been in the wrong, I haven't, it's very hard for me to face the person. It's very hard for me to be in the same room with the person or to have a conversation with them and talk about integrity and honesty, or just be in front of them. So I want to ghost them. I don't want to be around them. I avoid them because I know I'm in the wrong. So when someone ghosts you or abandons you and it leaves this hole in your heart, um analyze it. Not with your ego, analyze it with your with with your spirit. You're going to realize they didn't do that because of something that is related to me. They did that because they can't face me. You know, I've had several instances in my life already where it's been hard to believe. You know, you could be so loving, you could be so kind, and you could be so healed, and people will still do that to you. But in the beginning stages of my life where this started to happen, it left me with this resounding feeling of like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? But I've had enough of those individuals come back and apologize or resurface in my life and kind of li- shed light on the fact that I did this because I wasn't right with myself, or I did this because I couldn't face you. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. I'm sorry. Then now, when that happens, like if someone like just leaves, ghosts, or just, for whatever reason that happens, I don't take it personal because now I look at it and I realize I'm not linked or connected to that issue at all. It's the other individual. They're still battling with their ego. Also, I take it as a compliment, And yes, does it make you sad? Of course it does. But I much rather allow myself to live in a sad moment than to take it personal and cause a fight or an argument with someone I care about. And even if I don't care about the other person, remember now, if your ego is making you take things personal, you lose an opportunity to be compassionate. I still rather be compassionate towards another individual, regardless. But those are choices that I make. That's a choice that I've made moment by moment as events happen to me that then became daily behaviors for me that all of a sudden now they're embedded in my programming, and it's part of my lifetime way of being. But it takes moment by moment choices, you know? When I had someone ghost me for the first time, it was someone that I was involved with that was really lovely. It was great. I was excited. Um, it was quite interesting because, um, everything is going great. Everything's fine. There's nothing wrong. But then I started to sense like, why is the communication weird? And for whatever reason, they just like use that, excuse of a line. Oh, I'm busy. Okay. I kind of like respected that. It turns out they came to see me a few days later only to explain that it wasn't that they were busy. It was that they couldn't face me because they hadn't been honest. They had lied to me about specific things in their life. Okay? So I've had enough of those events, and I've coached people that have gone through this and then have, the aftermath of that person resurfacing and what took place from that, to now understand that someone doing that to you is a compliment. They're unable to face you, and the reason they're unable to face you is because they see you as a higher power than they are. They see you as in an elevated place. They see you almost in a pedestal place, right? So when you start to take that perspective and that starts to happen, you actually don't interpret that as a personal attack or as a heartbreak. You interpret that as, well, that's just how life is for them. So it's unfortunate, it's sad, but I know it's not because of me, because I would not do that. And why I would not do that? Because I I can face them. I would never be able to do that to someone because I'm my authentic self. When you are authentic, you're empowered, you're strong. And the reason why you're empowered and strong and resilient is because you know how to keep your ego in its own prison, not let your ego make your mind a prison for you? So it's a choice that you make, obviously. You have to choose to accept. You have to choose to accept what is happening. That's another thing. It's not just a choice that you do by moment, daily, and then lifetime. It becomes, your default behavior. You have to choose to accept. You have to make a conscious mental note that I'm going to choose to accept whatever this is. Whatever this is, I'm going to choose to accept it. You have to choose to resolve when it comes to conflict. Choose to be the first one to resolve it, regardless of who's right or wrong. Why does that matter? If you don't, you see how taking things personal can ruin everything, and why you shouldn't. Because when you don't take things personal, it does not matter to you if they were wrong or you were wrong, or they were right or you were right. Who cares? I want to resolve this. Let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. Let's use this as an opportunity for emotional depth to be developed, or an opportunity for us to be compassionate with one another, or let's use this conflict as an opportunity to grow together, or to have a better relationship as, I don't know, as husband and wife, as companion, as brother and sister, as friends, whatever the scenario is, or as, boss and employee. um Often when I get called in for a meeting, I used to get real nervous in my early stages of my career. I used to get real nervous when I'd be called in for a meeting to like discuss certain things. I'd be like, oh my God, what did I do wrong? What happened? Whatever. Now I feel like those kind of conflict scenarios, when they do happen, I actually like them. I enjoy them. It gives me the opportunity to learn another perspective, to see what I possibly might not be seeing about myself, and also to develop a professional depth with the person I'm working with, whether they be a director, a principal, a boss, a manager. I can develop depth in that relationship, in that connection, and that to me is valuable. And it definitely helps as you move forward, because other conflicts will arise. You cannot live life without conflicts. That's not reality. They will always happen. Even if you are a good, perfect person in a connection, in a dynamic, you will still have conflicts arise. It's normal. And then finally, you have to choose to drop what stresses you. That's what people find the hardest to do. How do you just drop what stresses you? I have to resolve it. I have to solve it. I have to whatever. No, you don't. No, you don't. If it stresses you right now, just drop it. Drop it. Leave it for tomorrow. Leave it for the next day. Go meditate. Go exercise. Go for a long walk. I don't know. Go for a nap. Take a nap. Find something that you can do that makes you feel like you're having a bit of a time at a resort. I often like to think of it that way. Like it's almost like a vacation moment of your day. Take a vacation moment. And we need this every day, at least 30 minutes of that relaxation time, right? I call it a vacation moment. And in that vacation moment, you basically just disconnect from everything. It gives you an opportunity to drop what stresses you. If you have things on your list and you're feeling anxiety about your ability to tackle them or not, drop the ones that you just feel like, you know what, I'm just going to drop 5 of them. I don't care. I'll do them tomorrow. Nothing wrong is going to happen. Your ego is trying to make you believe that it will, because you should do all of them, because in school you should always be a great performer. You should always behave well. In church you should be doing well, as you should be going to it often as well. We grow up with these programs, but when you become your autonomous self, your ego then uses that system as a way to manipulate and control you and keep you in a prison. Why does it want to do that, you may ask? Because the whole sole purpose of the ego is to keep you anxious in life, is to keep you with so much anxiety that you feel like there's no way out other than to just succumb and allow it to take control, right? And then you easily get stressed. You easily take things personal. You can't handle conflicts. You can't you can't even handle your agenda. You just feel like you're too busy. You don't even know what you can drop for the day. And the world tells you that being busy is great. It means everybody wants you. But the reality is the other way around. Stress is actually good and being too busy is actually bad. So stress is good, but how can you be stressed if you're not busy? Well, you could have one thing in your agenda for the day, and that could be enough to stress you for the whole day. You don't need to be back to back with meetings and whatever all day long, right? So, stress is good because stress is giving you an indication of where you should focus at. And usually, what people are not realizing is that what's stressing them out sometimes is not even 100% work related. What's stressing them out is personal related, is relationship in their life related, is material wealth in their life related. So if that's stressing you, it's an indication that you need to work on that. If conflict in relationship stresses you a lot, you need to work on your way of handling conflict, not work on your way of getting away from the person. The person is not the conflict. Your inability to handle conflict is the issue. That's what stresses you. Find a way to handle that. And talk to your partner, talk to that person, whether it be a brother, sister, a friend, or your mom or dad, or your spouse. Talk to them. Communication definitely helps develop the understanding. But when you don't communicate and you stay inside your head, guess what's in your head? Creating a prison that doesn't let you go. Your ego. So, guys, I hope that this helps a little bit What I want you to do, or I think that you should do to kind of help you, is write down 4 things that happened to you in a day. It could be today after you watch this clip, or it could be tomorrow. Maybe do this tomorrow. Very simple. Write down 4 things that happened to you in the day that just make you feel insulted, or make you feel hurt, or make you feel like your agenda's too busy, or make you feel like, you're disappointed. Write that down. And then what I want you to do is I want you to look at that the next day. Look at those 4 things. Which one of those items on the list pop up to you? The one that pops up to you is the one you should be working on. If it's conflict, work on that. If it's taking things personal, try to be more compassionate. If it's being too busy and having too much on your agenda that you feel like you don't even realize the day going by and it's too fast for you, then maybe you need to slow down your day. How to slow down your day? Don't go through everything in the day so quickly. Don't try to just get things done. Look at your agenda and see what you can handle for that specific day. Voice the matter that you need to have certain things removed from your agenda. Speak up. And when it comes to expectation, if you have disappointment, if disappointment is what stands out to you, maybe what you need to work on is your ability to accept the outcomes as they are and accessorize them the way that they happen in your life. And the accessorizing could be, how do you change it? How do you work around it? How do you incorporate it as is? Or how do you move on? You know? But of the 4 things you write down, I definitely, definitely want you to notice which one is highlighted for you. And for the different people viewing, I don't have a lot of subscribers, but I do get a lot of viewing people from, or views from different accounts that don't subscribe. So you should, please. Um, for those of you viewing, I really appreciate it. And I promise you, if you write down 4 things, one of them is going to pop up to you the most. Work on that. It's definitely worth it. And you know why it's worth it? Because when you tame the ego, when you're able to unprison yourself from him, I call the ego him a lot of times. But when you unprison yourself from the ego, you are able to be a more unconditional person, an unconditional lover, an unconditional forgiver, an unconditional compassionate person. And when you can be unconditional, you just fall in love with life. You fall in love with your life. And you also fall in love with yourself. And when you can fall in love with yourself in that way, you can definitely fall in love with someone else and others in a much bigger way and better. And that's what life is all about. It's your ability to be unconditional. It's your ability to be free from the negative. It's not, dealing with the negative and living with it. It's being able to free yourself from it, even though it can exist around you. So, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've liked it. If you can, please comment or DM me. Don't forget to, share if you can, and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to grow the channel. I'm trying to post more content. It is difficult because your girl does hustle a lot to make the bag. But I promise you, if you reach out, I'm here for you. And I'm definitely, definitely grateful that you're here watching and listening to me. In any case, write down the list of those 4 things that happen in a day that either mess with you individually, just, I don't know, bother you. Just write them down. Don't worry about what they have to be related to. Just write down the 4 things in a day that affect you negatively. And tomorrow, the next day, I want you to look at those and see which one pops up to you. And then listen to this video again. I promise you, you're going to find something in this that is going to help you with something in that. Thanks so much for watching. I love you.